Velkommen til SPORSTV. Nå har vi truffet litt gamle United-spillere og skal høre litt om hva de synes om sesongen så langt. Frank, good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks. Nice to see you again, Thomas, after all these years.
What can you say about the United season so far?
Well, I think in general terms it's been it's quite good, but in any other season would have been up there, but you know, Manchester City have been exceptional this year, and that's what kind of makes people feel a little bit down on it, but I think that's so far it's been quite good. I mean, it's particularly the last two results away from home, they could have been banana skins, you know, it could have ended up losing both of those games, and they come out of it with 6 points, takes us into the next one very nicely.
I think it's been pretty good so far. You know, we're in all the competitions, second in the league. I think some people have just given it a little bit of criticism because of Manchester City playing so well and having an unbelievable season. But all we've got to do is stay close to them at this moment of time, and you know, they might get a few injuries, a bit of loss of form, but you've got to make sure that if that happens that you're close enough to them to start catching them again.
Oh, it's been very successful up to now. I think after last weekend's game against Arsenal, which was probably one of the best games you'll see in a long time, you know, we've played some great football. We've scored a lot of goals. We're creating a lot more chances than the last 2 or 3 seasons. So, been very successful. We've got to keep going. It's, you know, we're not at Christmas yet, so there's a bit to do. But if we can carry on playing the way we are, then we'll be up towards City at the end, and hopefully we can get towards the Champions League final. Will be a great season for us.
Well, I think the fans will be delighted. The big game, it's obviously just before the Manchester City game, and if we can beat our old foes, it'll be a great start to the season. I think City have probably played the best football, but the squad of players we've got and the way we've been playing lately, scoring a lot of goals, I think the fans will be delighted.
Oh, well, I'm happy with it. You can't please everyone, but I'm delighted with it. I think the only kind of spanner in the works is that City's above us. So apart from that, yeah, I'm quite happy with it all.
Og så det altså det derby på søndag, og da det like greit å høre hva de synes om den kampen, og hvordan eventuelt United vil klare seg uten Paul Pogba.
It's a big game. I mean, City are playing very well, obviously unbeaten this season. They've a good strong side, some good players. We'll be up against it, but we're at home, we're at Old Trafford. They'll be worried after seeing last week's game against Arsenal, and rightly so. We've got some great players in the team. Pogba will be a miss, but you know, there's players to come in. It'll be a fairly even game, I think. It's a difficult one to call, but I think we may just shade it because we're at Old Trafford.
You know, it'll be City's toughest game. They're getting to a stage now. I've seen it happen with Chelsea. They played 10, 15 games unbeaten. You get a bit of a run, and they're starting to creak a bit. There's a few games where they could have lost or drawn. And to be fair to them, they're getting over the line. They still score. They're scoring very late goals, like the other night. I think it was 95 minutes extra time. Well, 5 minutes extra time. They scored in 96th. So you know, I think they're starting to creak a bit. The game, you know, it's very difficult to keep playing that well for so long. And once that invincibility goes, then it all changes. I've seen it happen to Chelsea where they lose a game and then they can't win a game.
Difficult game. You have to hold your hand up and just say, well, Man City are doing ever so well and it's going to be a tough game, but hey, if we top form, they've got a game on and we could run out winners.
So it'll be a real entertaining game, I think. I think it'll be really competitive, which you would expect because of the position where both clubs are at the moment. But United showed against Arsenal last week that on the day they can beat anybody, and that'll be the case on Sunday.
Well, the game on Sunday could be anything. It's a bit like a one-off situation. You know, I think most people want us to beat Man City because they don't want the league to be over by Christmas in real terms. It should be interesting. All depends on how the manager sets out the team here. But I think at the end of it, it's going to be who plays well on the day. You know, both teams are playing well, so we're in for an interesting one. It'll probably end up 0-0.
And how can United cope without Pogba?
Well, I think you have to. I mean, there's all times during the season when you might not play him, when he wants to rest him. I know he's had his injuries and now he's got a suspension. You have to deal with. That's what, you know. I always look back to our days. We didn't have the squad. They've got a 25-man squad, and the players are good enough to get on with it and still win the match.
I've seen it a couple of times now on somebody's phone. For me, it's never been a sending off, and I don't even think it's a booking. You know, it probably hurt the lad. It's going to hurt. I don't know what the guy was doing, because it's the worst tackle I've ever seen. You know, I mean, I've played cricket, and I used to do that when I was trying to stop a cricket ball. And you know, it was a bit of a weird challenge he put in on Paul. But Paul's, if you watch him, he touches the ball. He's 6'4". He has to come down somewhere. If the lad's lying on the floor, there's not much he can do. Yeah, there was no malice. I mean, I'll watch it, and if I think he was malice in it, I'd be like, you know, caning him for being stupid, because it would cost us. And I think it should have been rescinded for me, and it could still cost us, even though it's, you know, for me it was an accident.
Yeah, that's very disappointing, but it's a great opportunity for whoever Jose plays in front of Paul, or in place of Paul. You know, so that's their chance to prove themselves and play in a big game.
Pogba, different class. We're going to miss him, obviously. 3 games without him. The main problem is Fellaini's injured, who's come back from the dead, really. He struggled for a couple of years, and he's played quite well this season. And we've also got Herrera, who is struggling this year. He's forgot how to pass the ball forward, so we're going to miss Pogba's vision, and the main strikers are going to miss them.
That's football. Star players go missing. You have a squad of 25, and in that squad of 25, the rest of the players have got to come to the front now, and hopefully starting on Sunday we close the gap on Manchester City.
Because the goal drought, that happened when he was out, so...
Well, people say that it may have happened if he had played, so no, it's no football club, especially Manchester United, is it ever about one person. It's about the squad.
For me, I'd love to know who Mr. Mariner supports. I know he supports a football team, and you know, it'd be interesting to see what team he supports, to give a red like that.
In football terms, you know, you've got to do without your best players sometimes. I've gone through my career, and a lot of good players have got suspended, and you've got to do it without them, and got to do it for them as well. So that's probably the team talk before the game. Hey, come on, let's do it for Paul Pogba.